Welcome to today's deep dive. If you spend your whole life following the rules, paying your taxes, never stepping out of line, you might actually feel like you've won the game of life.
Right, yeah. I mean, we are taught from childhood that becoming this virtuous, rational person is like the absolute peak of human development.
Exactly. You lay the bricks of your life perfectly, one logical decision at a time. But what if that entire framework, like being good, being rational, being virtuous, what if that's actually a trap?
Oh, wow. A trap.
Yeah, what if the very act of playing perfectly by the rules is the exact thing preventing you from experiencing true freedom? That is the provocative premise we are unpacking today.
It really is. It's a profound paradigm shift.
We are looking at the fundamental difference between being a merely virtuous human, which most of us strive for, and becoming something entirely unbound, what our source material today calls celestial.
Yeah, and the text we are analyzing today is fascinating. It's a translation titled A Brief Introduction to Key Points of Spiritual Thinking. It was written by Shufeng on July 28, 2023, and edited by Kinyu.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the goal for this deep dive is to explore Swiffing's roadmap for moving from our standard rational thinking into what he calls spiritual thinking.
Right. And the text establishes a really clear baseline right off the bat.
Huh?
It argues that rational thinking, that highly structured, logical, rule-following mindset, is just the characteristic of the virtuous.
Right, the rule followers.
Exactly. It is the ceiling of human societal achievement, sure, but it is the absolute floor of cosmic potential. To become celestial, you have to adopt this entirely new way of thinking.
Making that leap to the celestial sounds incredibly daunting.
Yeah.
Like, to anyone listening right now, abandoning the structural safety of rationality sounds like a recipe for chaos.
Oh, absolutely. Because our entire modern civilization is built on rational thinking. We use logic to build bridges, run economies.
Yeah. Organize our daily schedules. So if we are supposed to move away from our everyday mindset into spiritual thinking, how does that not just evolve into complete anarchy?
Well, because spiritual thinking, at least as defined in this text, isn't the absence of order. It is a higher order of operation. Think of rational thinking as like classical Newtonian physics.
Okay, sure. Cause and effect.
Right, it works perfectly for building bridges and predicting where an apple will fall. It's bounded. But spiritual thinking is more akin to quantum mechanics. It operates on principles that seem completely counterintuitive to the Newtonian mind.
Like fluidity and non-locality and all that.
Exactly. The virtuous person is still building the bridge. The celestial being realizes they don't even need the bridge because the river itself is an illusion.
Oh, man. Okay, but how do we actually make that leap? Because the text actually starts with some very grounded, almost gritty internal steps, right? It's not just cosmic revelations on day one.
No, not at all. It starts with internal housekeeping. The very first prerequisite for what Shifeng calls sublimation, which is elevating your life quality from human to celestial, is repentance.
Yes, this blew my mind. The text explicitly states, without repentance, there is no sublimation.
Yeah, it's a hard rule.
Is repentance here like clearing the corrupted cache in your web browser before you can run a massive, high-powered new software?
That is a perfect analogy. What's fascinating here is that repentance is usually framed in religious contexts as this moral obligation, right? Like a way to appease a higher power.
Right, like guilt.
Exactly. But Shufeng frames it mechanistically. Before we can elevate our life quality, before we can sublimate, we absolutely must clear the slate. If your consciousness is weighed down by unresolved past actions, it physically lacks the buoyancy to rise.
So it's a processing error, not just a moral failing. You have to clear that cache. And once you do, the text points out this direct cause and effect rule regarding your mindset. It says imagining beauty brings beauty, imagining ugliness brings ugliness.
It's incredibly direct.
Yeah. It explicitly advises thinking about good and happy things every single day just to keep yourself happy, which, on the surface sounds a bit like toxic positivity, like just smile more.
I know, it does sound deceptively simplistic. But if you look at the cognitive mechanics, our brains are basically prediction machines. If you are constantly imagining ugliness, anticipating betrayal, focusing on economic collapse, you program your biological filter to highlight those exact things.
And you literally synthesize an ugly reality.
Yeah.
You're rendering the world in low resolution.
Exactly. But once your internal cache is cleared and you're actively projecting this positive visualization, You have to change how you perceive the external world, and this is the next stage. You have to let go of forms.
Right, the concept of Fashang,
Mm-hmm.
the fixed forms or dharma characteristics. This is a really complex concept in the source.
It is, yeah.
The text warns that being obsessed or bewildered by these fixed forms is exactly what keeps a person trapped in the cycle of reincarnation, or samsara.
Because we rely on these forms, right? From an evolutionary standpoint, we desperately need to categorize our environment to survive. We see leaves and branches and label it a tree. We see a medical diagnosis and label it tragedy.
We love our labels. They give us the illusion of control.
They do.
Yeah.
But breaking through these fixed forms is the only way to, as the text says, see heaven. Furthermore, it states that only through formlessness can one see the truth.
And only through selflessness can one see their true self. Which is beautiful, but I have to ask a challenging question here on behalf of the listener.
Sure, go for it.
If you are living in a very real, very physical world, right? You have a job, you have a Tuesday commute.
Yeah.
How do you practically practice formlessness and selflessness without completely losing your grip on reality? Like without just abandoning all your responsibilities?
That is the ultimate trap of Eastern philosophy, honestly. People think formlessness means nihilism, like, oh, nothing matters, so why care? But that's exactly why the next step in the text is so vital. You don't try to hold on to reality yourself.
You don't.
No. Instead, you hand the control over to something much bigger.
Oh, right. Handing over the reins. The text actually instructs the reader to trust, worship, and rely entirely on God, handing one's life over to God and letting the Tao manage and arrange everything.
Yes, you resign as the CEO of the universe. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the psychological relief this surrender brings is profound. According to the text, the result is a life with zero resentment, zero regret, sorrow, worry, anxiety, or fear.
Zero. That is just staggering. It describes it so poetically, too. It says, mind dwells on nothing, emotions tied to nothing.
It's total detachment, but not apathy. Detachment.
I just want the listener to really imagine this for a second. Imagine what your Tuesday morning would look like if your mind literally dwelled on nothing and you harbored zero anxiety about your commute or your boss or your bills.
It's hard to even fathom, right? Because we build our whole identities around what we worry about.
We totally do. But here's where it gets really interesting. Once you have surrendered your anxieties and detached your emotions, you don't just, like, sit in a blank void, right?
Yeah.
You enter what the text describes as this state of limitless cosmic play.
Yes, the cosmic playground. This is the true core of Xu Feng's philosophy. It's about consciousness no longer being bound or restricted by the reality of the material world at all.
Or by the constraints of societal norms.
Exactly. You are completely unbound.
The text has this wild vision of this unbound state. Talks about being completely carefree, enjoying life, and playing freely. It says the 3,000 macro worlds become nothing but stages for your entertainment.
The 3,000 macro worlds, that's deep Buddhist cosmology right there. It implies infinite scale.
Yeah, and infinite time and space just become territories for you to roam freely. It's like scaling up the human experience to an incomprehensible degree.
Because you aren't fighting the material world anymore. The text gives these specific, stunning examples of reality manipulation.
Oh, the sand.
Yeah. To someone who has achieved this celestial state, lifting a handful of sand and transforming it into thousands of green trees is merely a petty skill.
A petty skill. Like a parlor trick.
Basically, yeah. Their true specialty isn't parlor tricks. Their true specialty is creating a beautiful world.
So what does this all mean, like, for the listener trying to process all this?
It means these are not just abstract philosophical musings. The text is very clear. These are advanced cultivation practices that form the essential defining qualities of super celestial beings.
Super celestial beings.
Yeah.
Okay, let's briefly recap this journey outlined in Yifeng's text.
Yeah.
Because we covered a lot of ground.
We really did.
We started with the very human, gritty acts of repentance and forcing ourselves to think daily happy thoughts. Then we moved through the shedding of fixed forms and the self.
Right, letting go of the Fashang.
Exactly. And then surrendering completely to the Tao. And finally, arriving at this reality-bending, unbounded freedom of a super celestial being.
And, you know, even if turning sand into trees feels a bit out of reach for you today, the core message here is incredibly practical.
Oh, completely.
Not being bound by societal norms or material anxieties, that offers a radical blueprint for reclaiming your own peace of mind right here and now.
Absolutely. You don't have to be roaming the macro worlds to apply this.
Yeah.
Which leaves us with a final lingering question for you to ponder long after this deep dive ends.
I love this part.
If imagining ugliness brings ugliness, and obsessing over fixed forms keeps you trapped in a loop of anxiety, what is one fixed form or societal constraint in your own life that you could break through right now? Like today, what could you detach from to turn your daily grind into a stage for your own entertainment?
That is the million-dollar question right there.
It really is. Food for thought. Thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.